Imagine waking up one morning to shocking news. Every single American military base across the globe is gone. No troops in Europe, no aircraft in Asia, no ships docked in the Middle East. Overnight, the most powerful military presence in history has disappeared. What happens next could rewrite the balance of power on Earth. In this video, we'll explore a question few dare to ask. What if the US lost all of its overseas military bases overnight? These bases are more than outposts. They're America's eyes, ears, and shield. Their sudden loss could destabilize alliances, shift global power, and spark conflicts we're not prepared for. And at the end, we'll reveal the shocking scenario most experts agree is the most likely outcome. Right now, the United States has around 750 military bases in over 80 countries. From Germany to Japan, from South Korea to the Persian Gulf, these bases project power and maintain order. They allow the US to respond to threats within hours, not days. They're also symbolic, a reminder that America is the global superpower. Now imagine them gone. No American presence in South Korea to deter the North. No naval fleets patrolling the South China Sea. No bases in Europe to counterbalance Russia. The world suddenly feels very different. And that difference would be felt immediately. The very first consequence? A massive power vacuum. Allies who once relied on America's shield suddenly feel naked. South Korea fears an invasion. Japan feels exposed to both China and North Korea. Eastern Europe braces for Russian aggression. Within days, rival powers would move in. China expands further into the Pacific. Russia pushes harder into Eastern Europe. Iran exerts dominance across the Middle East. Without US bases, the balance of deterrence collapses. In NATO headquarters, panic sets in. Can Europe defend itself without American bases in Germany, Italy, and the UK? Suddenly, Europe is forced to either unite militarily or fracture. In Asia, China seizes the opportunity. More patrols in disputed waters. More pressure on Taiwan. Without nearby US bases, defending Taiwan becomes nearly impossible. Meanwhile, North Korea sees its chance. With no US forces in South Korea or Japan, Pyongyang could gamble on aggression, knowing America would need weeks to respond. And what about ordinary people? In countries like Poland, South Korea, and Japan, fear skyrockets. Stock markets crash. Citizens rush to buy supplies, fearing war. In the US itself, the public is stunned. Questions explode across media. Is America still a superpower? Can we defend ourselves from across the ocean? And around the world, authoritarian leaders celebrate. For the first time in decades, the United States looks vulnerable. The loss of US bases would trigger a chain reaction of crises. In Europe, Russia might seize Ukraine, or even threaten the Baltic states, knowing US reinforcements would take weeks to arrive. In the Pacific, China could blockade Taiwan, daring the US to intervene without forward bases. In the Middle East, Iran could move against Saudi Arabia, sparking oil crises and regional war. And on the oceans, American aircraft carriers, now the only projection of power left, become prime targets. With no nearby bases for support, even the US Navy would find itself overstretched. For decades, America's bases acted like anchors, stabilizing regions. Without them, the world would drift into chaos. So, how does this story end? Best case scenario allies step up. Europe invests massively in its own defense. Japan and South Korea rapidly rearm. The US relies on long-range drones, satellites, and cyber power to fill the gap. The world adapts, but it's a slower, more dangerous balance. Worst case scenario. The sudden vacuum triggers global wars. Russia expands west. China invades Taiwan. North Korea attacks the south. The US is dragged into multiple conflicts but struggles to respond without global bases. Superpower rivalry ignites World War III. Most realistic scenario. The US remains powerful, but no longer the unquestioned superpower. Bases are replaced by alliances, trade deals, and technology. Rival powers grow bolder, while America's role shifts from dominant leader to one of several competing giants. So tonight, we asked, what if the US lost its military bases worldwide? We saw how allies would panic, rivals would surge, and the entire global balance could collapse in weeks. But in the end, this scenario reveals something profound. American power isn't just built on weapons. It's built on presence, trust, and the ability to show up anywhere, anytime. Without that presence, the world looks very different. More unstable, more dangerous, and far more unpredictable. So the question is, if America's bases vanished tomorrow, would another power step in to stabilize the world? Or would chaos become the new normal?